So growing up, I was always really involved at church. My family had been going to CedarCreek since I was 5. And so it was always a place where I felt safe and like I belonged. And as a kid, I was always, pretty artistic. And in high school, that was the same. I loved to paint, I loved to draw. And I remember my aunt would, one time I drew something and she came over to me and she was like, Jenna, you have a gift. What are you gonna do with it? I had applied to this school on the West Coast and it was kind of my dream school, a school that I didn't even think that I would be able to get into, and I did. It was like I could see my future in front of me and just getting so excited over that vision. I kind of, ended up realizing financially it was just going to be a better decision for me to stay closer to home and go to school. And in the moment, it felt like this huge disappointment to me. It felt like this vision that I could see for the future was kind of falling apart. This piece of identity was a little bit lost. And what I realized through that experience was I was putting so much of my worth and value on this external place, like this place that I would go and have maybe a prestigious title or achieve this certain thing, and that's what was gonna fulfill me. And when that didn't pan out for me, that was a huge lesson that I learned through my first year of college, is like, that's not where my worth and value comes from. It's not this external thing that I have to achieve or get to, but that wherever I am is where I can lean into purpose. Wherever I am is where I can lean into passion. And that's where I felt like my journey with photography really started to unfold. And looking back, I realized that wouldn't have happened. I can confidently say that I wouldn't have been in the position to do all of those things that I've been able to do with photography if I was anywhere but here. And so I can see that, looking back, God really directed my steps and established those steps before me, even when I had such a different plan in mind. When I was in college, I was actually studying to be a math teacher, and that's what I was doing for the 4 years. And simultaneously, I was kind of building, a photography business as my side hustle. And one story I love to reflect on in thinking about, my photography journey is actually that my dad was the one that purchased my first professional camera gear. And I know that piece of my story is privileged, and I feel really lucky to have that. But for me, it's like one of my favorite things to think back on, because it reminds me that, this business is a gift. And it was literally a gift. It was literally a gift to me. But also, I feel like it's a gift that a lot of my skill sets that God's given me that allow me to be, good at photography and be good at maybe running a business, those things are a gift, and my job is to steward them well. And going back to kind of everything even my aunt would say of okay, you have a gift, what are you gonna do with it? That's something I always trace back to, of I really feel connected to that idea that, photography has been a gift for me. And then taking it kind of one step further, I can think of a handful of times, 4 or 5 very, very specific instances where, somebody has come to me with something that they're going through in their life, and photography and having some sort of a session would really be a way that they could preserve moments that they know are really going to matter. And I've just been able to feel so aligned with God and being okay, this is part of the reason that you have a business. This is part of the reason that I've given you this gift, is so that you can use it for good and helping other people tell their stories and preserve moments that really matter. When I'm looking back on my journey and where I am right now, I totally can see the ways that God has directed my steps and allowed me to kind of get to this place. But I also know, as I was saying, to be a teacher, I know that I could have fulfilled a lot of my purpose there too. It's not a title, it's not necessarily, a position, it's not a job. For me, honestly, photography in and of itself isn't my purpose, but photography is a way that I get to live out my purpose. And it's kind of one of those things that I'm determined to use as a vessel to live on purpose and to make an impact in whatever ways that He will allow me to.